Ontario PC leader Tim Hudak is in Kingston today to take part in a variety of activities within our riding. The opposition leader joins me now in studio. Mr. Hudak, thanks for being here.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on the show.
Now, the PC party makes up a large chunk of our viewing area,
Good.
MPP ridings. One of our MPPs, the Randy Hillier, was recently, there was a bit of a change within your caucus. He was Labour critic. He isn't anymore. Can you bring us up to speed on how relations stand?
Well, I mean, Randy remains part of our caucus. He doesn't have a critic's role nor on committee, so he's still doing his work in his riding. I mean, he'll have a chance if he earns back the trust of the PC caucus to get a caucus position, but that's where we stand today, and I'm here to talk about my jobs plan across Eastern Ontario, including here in Kingston.
Now, about Mr. Hillier, what type of a role does he play within your caucus? What kind of value does he bring?
Well, you know what, Randy he's got a lot of potential. He's a smart guy. He knows his way around the issues, but you know, politics is a team sport. I need to make sure that all of our members are focusing on the big issues as well at Queen's Park. I mean, we need a turnaround plan for this province. We have far too many people who are out of work, particularly here in Eastern Ontario. Hydro rates are going through the roof, and then we saw the government blow $1.1 billion on that gas plant scandal to save a few seats for Liberals' last election campaign. So my focus and my team, making sure we put our positive plan out there and how we get people back to work in our province, and hopefully Randy be contributing to that plan.
All right. One of the aspects of your job and economy plan is a right-to-work jurisdiction within Ontario. So that gives workers the choice to choose if they want to be part of a union or not. Do you view this as controversial?
Well, there's nothing controversial about wanting jobs in our province, and I'm increasingly frustrated when I see more and more businesses that don't even look to Ontario to open up a new factory. I mean, we heard news recently about a plant that had previously been in Ontario that makes high-end patio furniture. They're choosing to go to New York, largely out of hydro rates and a much more friendly jurisdiction. Another plant is going to be setting up in Tennessee that makes tires. I lost John Deere, a lot of good, well-paying jobs from my area in Niagara that went to Wisconsin instead. So if we want to attract jobs to our province, we need a number of things. Number one, get hydro rates under control, get taxes down, and also make sure that our labor laws are part of the 21st century. We need to compete for those jobs, and I want them here in Ontario, not in the States.
All right. Well, it's no secret that you would like to be Premier of Ontario. When you take a look at the polls, sometimes those percentages have been low for you. So you've once said that you prefer to be respected rather than loved. So are you still sticking to that?
Well, as long as it's not my family, then hopefully I'll get both. Yeah, look, I don't think people in Ontario are looking for to elect in the next premier the friendliest neighbor. Although I think I hopefully make a good neighbor. They're looking for a leader with a plan that's going to turn our province around. And whenever that election happens, and I'm here in town with Mark Bain, a very strong candidate for us here in Kingston and the Islands, they can choose two paths. I mean, if you are happy with the way Ontario is today, deep in debt and losing jobs, well, the good news is you have two choices, the Liberals or the NDP. I mean, they're basically the same thing these days. But if you believe Ontario can do better than this, you can believe we can be #1 for job creation again, the best place to find a job or start a business, that's our plan, that's our team, and I encourage people to look at our plan because it is going to turn our province around.
All right. You mentioned the gas plant. Last week, the Auditor General came out with the final numbers on how much it costs to relocate, cancel those gas plants. Our region isn't faring too bad. Actually, one of those plants was relocated to Napanee. So we have jobs and good jobs in our region. But you're concerned with the broader scope of our province. So you are demanding a judicial review over this.
Yeah, I think we need to put the culprits who are behind this in the Liberal Party on the stand before a judge. I think we need to compel the truth from those individuals to find out exactly how much this really did cost, who made the decisions to cover up, who gave the marching orders. It's important to send a message to all politicians of political stripes that that kind of waste and abuse of taxpayer money cannot be tolerated in the province of Ontario. I mean, $1.1 billion, imagine what that could do to build a new hospital. It would probably clear up the wait list for MRIs and CT scans and cancer treatment in Ontario. But everybody watching today has a loved one that's waiting far too long for procedure. That's the travesty in what we saw with that waste of money, simply to save a couple Liberal seats.
We also have a ballooning deficit. What's your plan to keep taxes low and be able to rein in that deficit?
Well, first of all, stop the runaway spending. I mean, I think we need an across-the-board wage freeze for all of us, including MPPs. We need to get to the corporate welfare business. When we see the kind of waste with the gas plant scandal or programs like Drive Clean that seem to be there just to tax people and keep bureaucrats busy, we've got to focus on what's important, like healthcare and education, and balance our books. Now, you asked, well, why do we reduce taxes? Look, you can't simply cut your way to prosperity, mean, that's part of the plan, but you have to grow the economy too. And if you reduce taxes, businesses will invest, they'll create new machinery, they'll hire more men and women. And that's what I'm hearing Kingston talk about, our jobs plan. And with more people working, that means revenue comes in to pay for things like hospitals and classrooms.
All right, PC leader Tim Hudak, thanks so much for taking the time and shedding some light on some of your issues.
Thanks for having me.